So you've chosen to disobey God and betray your family and even create dissension amongst friends and associates by bringing disgrace on God's order for the family, which is a husband and a wife and children, if that be God's will, having a quiver full of them, as it says in the Psalms, that it's blessing, not a curse, under the divine order, and holy matrimony, marriage, and the blessings that it is, if it's done according to God's plan, following His blueprint. You know, marriage is a holy act. It's actually good in the eyes of God. Once you've made a decision to marry and even have children, there's supposed to be a unity, a bond, a fraternal, maternal, and spiritual bond. And if all individuals involved in the family, children, the father, the mother, are doing what is required of them, there should be no difficulties. I mean, there should be no problems that are there should be no problems that are unable to be solved or mastered with God's help in humility. But that's very much the key, humility. Humility in marriage conflicts is lacking. That's why there was conflict in the marriage, because for a lack of humility, either by either spouse or both. And when there's humility, all kinds of things come together in harmony. Because pride can be vicious. Pride is very self-conceited. Pride demands its own way. Pride says, I'm always right. Pride does not give up its demands. And humility is able to forego those things, even if it's to the person's disadvantage. And that is the way of God, according to the ancient writings of holy people, holy prophets. Humility is the path to God, and humility produces righteousness. And humility submits to God's ways, and humility acts appropriately in every situation. So humility will help keep the marriage together, because either side of the coin, the mother or the father is willing to be corrected, just like children. There has to be a willingness to receive correction, and there has to be a willingness to put into practice the things that will better themselves towards reaching that prize, that higher mark. Like Paul says, the Apostle Paul says that he actually beats his own body, not literally, but I believe, but he's speaking, he puts himself under rigorous discipline to avoiding things that would trip him up from following a righteous path with God, laying aside things that he once considered valuable in his own eyes and in the eyes of his colleagues when he was a member of the Sanhedrin, or when he was a member of the Pharisees, rather. He put aside all those things that he elevated and held in high honor and prestige as an act of humility before God, because those were the things that he thought made him righteous and in good standing with God, but he discovered that that was not the case. So in humility, he said that those things he regarded as rubbish, refuse, in comparison with the glory of God, righteousness of God. And it wasn't something that he just automatically woke up one day and discovered. It was a divine revelation on his way to Damascus in Syria to arrest believers in Christ who he thought were blaspheming God, according to his own religion, which was Judaism. But God woke him up and said, hey, I got a new covenant that I've established, and I came in answer to the prophets and to Moses to fulfill all righteousness. When he said that to John the Baptist. And so the Apostle Paul sought as the first and of most importance is God's will. And that was a good thing.